The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
The IRL has been wheel to wheel on and off the track. At Indy, Tony Stewart drove Arie Luyendyk onto the grass at 220. Stewart has led in all but one IRL race, but has yet to win. The Indianapolis 500 was Arie's second Indy victory. At Texas, it was a new track, a giant crowd, night racing, and the Stewart-Luyendyk fight rolled on. Billy Boat, driving for A.J. Foyt, was flagged the winner, but the race was filled with scoring errors. Arie said so in winner's circle. Foyt disagreed and punctuated his point. Later, Arie was declared the winner, making it 2 in a row, and it set off a series of explosions still echoing today as the IRL arrives at another new track, Pikes Peak International Raceway. Again, Stewart is on the front row, and Arie is looking for 3 in a row. Track for the IRL, about 30 minutes south of the center of Colorado Springs. The Indy Racing League is at Pikes Peak International Raceway for the Colorado 200. And since we have last left you at Indy, there has been much going on. It's been a fantastic month with many stories. We'll start with Jack Arute.
And Paul, one of the men at the center of a lot of those stories was A.J. Foyt. You know what happened in Texas. We showed it to you at the top of the show. Looking back on all of that, A.J., any regrets?
Well, not really. You know, sorry, it just showed the bad side of me. It showed the party didn't show the whole thing. The people didn't see the whole thing. They just saw the last part of it. That's the only thing I regret. I wish it would have been from the word go when everything happened, but it didn't. It just showed the last part. And
well, let's talk about the good parts, though. Defending champion in the car owner points, defending co-champion in the driver points. But atop the IRL point standings this year is a different kind of driver, A.J. Foyt. Davey Hamilton drives for your power team outfit. What kind of a guy is Davey?
Well, Davey's a great guy. You know, he's very consistent. He's conservative, and it comes right down to winning. You know, Davey will get it up and win. Qualify is good. He's done a great job. He's leading a championship for us this year, and I just hope we can win it with Davey, because that would be great. You know, Scotty one year and Davey the next. But, you know, the championships are always hard to win.
Now, back on May 7th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you lost one of your drivers in a horrific crash coming out of turn number 4. Scott Sharp, now calling California home out of Norwalk, Connecticut, but he makes his return to the Conseco cockpit today. Scott Sharp put your car on the pole. Can he win?
Yes, he can win. He's showed that he's a winner last year. You know, he's a great guy. I'm so happy for Scotty and, you know, our sponsor, Conseco, because, you know, we got a lot of bad press out of the Texas deal, but Billy Boat's such a great friend of ours, and, you know, we're hoping to work something with him next year, too. And so I got a great bunch of young race drivers, a great young bunch of crew, and I'm just so proud of all of them.
And a great leader at A.J. Foyt. Let's check in with Jan Beekes.
Well, Jack, the man that everyone has been chasing so far, of course, is Arie Luyendyk, having won the last 2 races. But, you know, this weekend has not actually gone that well for Arie Luyendyk and company. On Friday, he comes off of turn number 4, loses control of the car, slaps the wall with the left-hand side, and although the car is now repaired and sitting in 8th spot, neither Arie Luyendyk nor the crew really knows exactly what happened in the accident. Now, of course, that can be disconcerting for a driver. Now, that's not the only problem that Arie Luyendyk had. As he rolls out for qualifying, when he goes from 3rd to 4th gear, he unfortunately went from 3rd to 2nd, over-revved the engine and damaged it. Now, Arie, you were able to complete your qualifying run, but it's put you back here in 8th. Then they had to change that engine. You missed final qualifying or final practice. Is that a problem?
Well, it could be a problem, but Scott Goodyear, of course, my teammate, did one, so we learned from that, and we fixed the gear lever, which gave us problems shifting, and we put a new engine in, so I think we'll be okay. I think today is a matter of keeping the tires alive for the distance under these conditions with the heat, and also the bank track, because we're spending so much time in the turns.
All right, thank you, Arie. And those G-forces in the turns, about 4 Gs. Let's go back to Jack.
Jan, since the inception of the Indy Racing League, this man, Tony Stewart, has been atop many of the records in the record book. But consider this fact, the one record that he still looks for is his first career victory. all of the leadership that you've got, Tony Stewart, with Team Menard, and we're going to talk to you and have you answer through your radio how big a gorilla is on the back of this team, in so much as you haven't been in victory lane yet.
It's been pretty bad, really. We haven't had much luck with this. We've been really fast, but you know, we've got to get that little bit at the end of the race. We've got to keep the motors together and got to keep the good luck going to where we can finish at the end.
Looking for some good luck, Larry Curry, the team manager, Bill Martin, the crew chief of this team, they brought not only their regular team, but many of the people that were with Robbie Buell. Buell will not start in this race. He crashed during a testing session, so now they're all focusing on one goal, and that's to put you in victory lane.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of our all-star pit crew. These guys have all worked really hard, and this is the best we've got. You know, we've got really good guys, but you know, we've put the best that we could together for an effort to try to win this race for John Menard.
Paul?
All right, so the question is, can Tony Stewart finally score that victory? That's Pikes Peak up behind us there, where next week they run the famous hill climb. It's Bobby Unser's kingdom back there. You know, Tom Sneva, despite the fact that Arie Luyendyk has won the last 2 races, it has not been easy.
Well, Arie's been getting beat up both on and off the racetrack the last couple of races. At Indianapolis, he was forced to mow the grass down the back straightaway to try to get to victory lane. At Texas, he had to fight his way both in and out of victory circle. So that Texas race, coupled with last night's fight, made me a believer that we actually could see a Holyfield-Tyson bout as an undercard event for a future IndyCar race.
This track here is one that the drivers love. It's got a lot of grip.
Well, it's got a lot of grip, but it's very, very smooth. And one of the big challenges when you come to a new racetrack like Pikes Peak here is the challenge for the driver to get the chassis set up so he can use a lot of throttle in the corner and relax that braking foot. Here we got long corners and very, very short straightaways, and handling's going to be a premium. The guy that can get the balance is going to be key. The other key is going to be the traffic. Small mistakes. If you don't anticipate traffic before you get to it, it's going to be big losses in track position. So it's going to be exciting, a lot of fun. The cars are closer than we've ever seen for an IRL event, and I'm looking forward to the start.
And there have been some other changes. Now, the IRL is taking the full responsibility for the officiating. More on that. Here's Jack.
And I'm with Leo Mel, the executive director of the Indy Racing League. Leo, what's going to be different about the IRL versus its predecessor, USAC?
We've streamlined and augmented our timing and scoring system. We've added a new electronic manually input system. We've changed our technical inspection. We've got all new people in race control. We've got new management in race control, but we've got very experienced people. We think we've got a good program for today.
And Jan Beekes, they've given the command to start the engines.
They have, Jack, and of course the engines, the normally aspirated engines, have come to life. Now in particular, there's a car you want to watch for today. That is car number 33. That is 21-year-old Jimmy Kite making his IRL debut. He has been in the top 4 of every practice session, but a little bit of an understeer or push dropped him to 9th in qualifying. How young is this guy? 21 years old, as we said, but he is only 5'4", 125 pounds. A security guard would not let him on the pit road, even though he said he was a driver. Said, no way could this guy be an IndyCar driver.
Jan, as we look at the starting grid, one driver is missing from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Jim Guthrie, the winner of the Phoenix 200, encountered problems while he was practicing for this Pikes Peak, Colorado 200. He crashed hard in turn 4. They removed him by helicopter to a local hospital where he was diagnosed suffering from a fracture in his spine. Now, the word is good that he should be okay in 6 to 8 weeks. We hope maybe to talk to him later today. Paul?
Well, let's take a look at the starting field. 22 cars ready on the pole. Scott Sharp, that's his first career pole. Tony Stewart, his 6th straight front row start, and 7th overall, he's outside. Row 2, Scott Goodyear, twice a runner-up at Indy. And Davey Hamilton, it's his best career start for the IRL points leader. In row 3, Roberto Guerrero, his best qualifying effort since March of '96. And Kenny Breck, the 31-year-old freshman from Sweden, in his 4th IRL start. Row 4, Buzz Calkins, the winner of the inaugural IRL event at Walt Disney World. And Arie Luyendyk, a 2-time Indy 500 champion and IRL's only repeat winner. In row 5, there's Jimmy Kite, the 21-year-old midget driver, and Alfonso Giafoni, his first career top 10 qualifying effort. In row 6, Stefan Gregoire. And Buddy Lazier, the winner of the 96 Indy 500. The 7th row, Eddie Cheever, the winner this year at Walt Disney World. And Eliseo Salazar, who has 4 top 10 finishes in 5 IRL starts. Row 8, Billy Boat and Robbie Groff. In the 9th row, Greg Ray and Vincenzo Sospiri. In the 10th row, Johnny Unser and Dr. Jack Miller, the racing dentist. In the 11th row, Mark Dismore, back from a practice crash on Friday, and Marco Greco taking his first ride with the Rick Gallis team. Now, line ahead, 200 laps, 200 miles at this mile-high track. Pit window should start at the 65th lap. And the stories that we're going to be following today, well, there are a number of them. The air and track temperatures, they are climbing as we speak. The altitude a mile high. Can Ari score his 3 in a row? And can Tony win his first race? Let's go to the pits in Jackaroo.
If you talk about temperature, consider this. It will affect the choice of tires. Of the 22 cars in the starting grid, only 8, and all on Goodyears, have elected to go with a softer compound. Some teams, though, have a soft tire ready in case this race gets a yellow with about 20 laps to go. They'll stick the gumballs on and go for the victory.
Jack, the other part of that story is, of course, altitude. When you drive your car to altitude, it loses power. These cars have lost about 80 horsepower. Hopefully, the positive side, it'll make it more reliable, and they may be able to save some fuel.
And, of course, theoretically, that 80 horsepower came away from everybody at exactly the same number. Now, into turn number 3 of this very, very fast, very smooth race course. They've done a marvelous job in preparing this speedway and the stands here. Johnny Rutherford is not driving the pace car. He's suffering an illness. We wish him well. We hope he's back. Don Bailey, who drives the pace car at Indianapolis, is at the wheel. So the front row, Sharp, Stewart, Green's out, and we're running. Sharp's in trouble. Sharp gets up against the wall right on the first turn as Stewart rolled past. So off of turn 2, Scott Sharp backs it into the wall. And of course, we are yellow.
The thing just jumped sideways early. I mean, with this kind of temperature, it's real surprising that the tires weren't up to temperature, so it's hard to say what caught Scotty out right there.
But, Tom, that's something that the 3 drivers involved in incident during the practice for this have remarked on. Ari and Mark Dismore and Jim Guthrie, all 3 had spins and contact with the wall. They all said the car just suddenly jumped on them.
Yeah, it's in Lyondike was still surprised. You can see the car just jumps sideways right there and backs into the wall. Fortunately, they're not up to speed, so it didn't look like heavy contact.
Yeah, everybody did get through clearly. There is A.J. Foyt, of course, and he can still be at this moment on the radio with Scott, but the only news that's going to come from that car is the fact that he's backed it into the wall, it's damaged, and it will not run. The crew is there. They're taking a look at Scott, but he appeared to be okay right away. We'll give you an official medical update when we return.
The 1997 Colorado 200 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. True Value, official hardware store of IRL and garages everywhere. Oldsmobile and your authorized Aurora retailers. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Well, right after the green flag, Scott Sharp, the pole sitter, lost it, backed it into the wall. They're still working at the race car, and they have him, of course, out of the car. You see them loading him into the ambulance. So for Tony Stewart, it becomes the 5th straight race that he has led the opening lap. Here it is to look at, Tom.
Yeah, it looks like he's down a little bit low, and it's possible that he gets on the white line. You can see right in that area that the left side of the left side tires are actually down on the white line. Now, on new facilities, newly painted stripes, sometimes they're a lot more slippery than the surface just to the right of where he was at, and that it could have led to some of the problems that Scott received.
Here's another view at it in slow-mo, and watch Davey Hamilton, who really avoided disaster right there.
Well, that was close, and like I say, the back end of the car just jumped out, and it could have been the white line that contributed to that problem.
All right, let's go to Jan Beekes.
Well, Paul, I did have a chance to have a quick word with A.J. Foyt before he left to go to the medical center to check up on Scott Sharp. He said Scott said nothing on the radio. We don't know what happened to the car. But talking to Scott before the race, he said the key to speed here is to have your car just on the edge of being loose. And obviously, the car either had cold tires or was too loose.
Well, especially at the beginning of the race, you don't want a loose race car, number one, and if it's too loose at the beginning, usually it gets looser as time goes by. So it's strange to me that they could have missed the setup by that much when he qualified as well as they did.
So Scott Sharp on his way to the infield medical center. We'll have a report as soon as they give it to us. They clean the track, and we'll get ready to go back racing with Tony Stewart in the lead, followed by Hamilton.
Special Good Morning America. Breathtaking events throughout the day. A complete wrap-up on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings from Hong Kong.
Back at the Colorado 200, the Indy Racing League, still under yellow. Here's the way Scott Sharp saw it.
Now watch his hands flinching as he goes in the corner. And listen, he rolls out of the thrust. He's down in that white line. The thing just really surprised him. It just jumped sideways quick. That had to be a total shock to him.
Yeah, but there's a possibility they may be thinking about something special, Jan.
Well, that's right, because, of course, his teammate is Davey Hamilton. There's been radio conversations back and forth with Tommy Lomans, and that is Davey has been actually looking at Scott's car, radioing back to this crew, trying to tell them how much he feels that car is damaged. And there's a possibility, of course, if Scott Sharp is okay, that they're going to try and fix that car and get it back out on the racetrack.
And as luck would have it, that is one of the radio frequencies that we are not able to monitor. The teams make their choice as to whether or not they can, and we're not allowed to monitor Davey Hamilton. But they do have the car back. It's really just inside of turn 3. They lowered it off the wrecker. I think they were concerned about the bladder, the piece of that white piece of plastic that was underneath it. It came loose. Now they've dropped it, and maybe they'll get it back into the garage area quickly, but it's still quite a distance from the garage.
Well, they need to make sure the driver is fixable first, and there were some things that fell off that car. So.
All right, we're set to go green. Pace car is already off. Tony Stewart with Davey Hamilton right behind him. Scott Goodyear sits in third as we come back to the green. Hamilton makes a move to the inside. Stewart running high. Better line for him. Faster off the corner. Stewart maintains the lead.
Well, Davey got a little bit of a draft coming down the front straightaway, but he had to pinch the car too tight on the bottom groove, and Stewart had the momentum.
Battle is at the front as Davey Hamilton tries to catch up to the Glidden car of Tony Stewart. Word from race control now is that they are going to display the black flag to Eliseo Salazar for improving position before the green flag. They are also, they've come up with a couple new rules, and Tom, as we watch this battle first, second, and third, and we move back now and take a look at Kenny Brack closing on Scott Goodyear. They say that there are more than just stop-and-go penalties available now. One would be a pass through the pits at the 80-mile-an-hour pit speed limit. Another would be a stop-and-go, and the third would be a stop-and-wait where they hold you a predetermined amount of time.
Well, yeah, I like what the IRL is talking about doing. They're going to be more flexible. A lot of times the penalty is too severe for the crime, and they're trying to address those problems. So we'll have to see how it pans out.
Roberto Guerrero and Ari Lyondike battle for 6th. Guerrero with a roar of power for the first time this year.
Yeah, they struggled a little bit with the Infinity, so they put the Aurora in it, and Roberto is real happy to be closer to the front of the pack at this point.
Got a glimpse back from Ari Lyondike as Roberto tucked his nose down inside, trying to get beyond him. Alfonso Giafone closing up and coming alongside Roberto Guerrero.
Well, that's tight racing. You can see Roberto pinched him down a little bit, but no harm, no foul.
I'll tell you what, the team is very high on Alfonso Giafone. They say he is not only a pleasant person, which we already know, but a very, very savvy race driver who can tell you exactly what's going on in that car.
Well, a young kid, but he's had a lot of experience, and he seems to press the pedal down pretty good.
So Giafone continues to work at the back of Roberto Guerrero. Jan Beekes.
Well, Paul, one of the reasons that Alfonso is running so well is he says his favorite type of racetrack is a 1-mile oval. He, of course, did very well at Phoenix, and he also said with his Indy Lights experience that 1-mile ovals are just his cup of tea.
Well, Giafone trying to work Guerrero at the same time. Right behind Giafone, there is that new rookie that everybody is so high on, Jimmy Kite.
Yeah, this kid came right out of the Sprint cars and Silver Crown cars, and a lot of people have been very impressed with his talent. He's a little short in height, but that's the only thing that he's short of.
So there he is, the 33 car, Old Navy on the side, and he's tucked up right behind Alfonso Giafone, currently running in 9th.
You guys are talking about Jimmy Kite, and he qualified in 9th spot. I said he had a little bit of understeer. The reason why was the stagger went off during qualifying. Dick Simon, who of course is in charge of the calls on pit road, has changed the stagger back, so look for him now to go to the front.
And now a move by Roberto as he moves past Lyondike. Keeping an eye now on Giafone.
Well, one of the reasons that Arie Luyendyk may be going backwards a little bit is the car has started out very, very loose. The crew has instructed Luyendyk to adjust the weight bars, the weight jacking devices on board. But so far, it has not cured the problem.
Yeah, but good analysis, Jack. I think it was more a matter of Arie coming backwards than Roberto having the power to make a good pass. Now, Luyendyk sits just ahead of Alfonso Giafone and of Jimmy Kite.
Well, Jimmy Kite, a couple laps back, we noticed that he got the air taken off the front of the car and had to get out of the throttle, and that was a good learning lesson for him. This kid's using his head so far and gaining a lot of experience in a short amount of time in a mile oval.
Giafone looks at the inside of Luyendyk. Luyendyk uses a bit of a higher line. As you can see by the banner that keeps track of everything on the top of the screen, the battle at the front, for the most part, has broken off. Stewart runs alone. And sitting in second place is Hamilton with Scott Goodyear 4/10 back. Here comes Giafone. Giafone with Jimmy Kite with him. They come around Luyendyk.
Yeah, it was just a matter of time. When you have a little bit of an understeer problem on a racetrack like this.
Car against the wall in 2, and this is going to be some bad news for Johnny Unser driving for Mike Croft. Johnny Unser catches the wall in 2. Yellow comes out.
As you can see, heavy contact on the right side of that thing. There's not much left right there.
We saw some movement from the cockpit for Johnny Unser.
The wheel comes off. That's always a good sign.
And that's a sign that all of the crews, the emergency crews, look for. They tell you, if you're okay and you don't need us to rush right to you, get that wheel off and let us know that you're fine. Looks like he just got high, was a report from some of the observers. Well, we can take a look at this as they come off of turn 2.
That's a little bit late. We don't know what got him in trouble to begin with, but he looked like he was by himself at that point.
Yeah, that'd have to be an issue in turn 1, really. Here he is after he's already had contact with the wall. Again, the observers, a couple of them, reported that over in turn 1 he was running high, and that just carried him on up to the wall. We'll go back, take a look at it. Now we'll slow it down for you, Tom.
Yeah, just barely. Yeah, it's really hard to say. It looked like the car just sort of slid up the racetrack and then turned sideways. So it's hard to tell what got him in trouble there initially. But the entire car just sort of slid up the racetrack.
Yeah, and heavy damage to the right side of the car. Johnny Unser is out with a little help. He walks away. So that's good news. But it's not good news for his team and the fact that they have a severely damaged race car. Here is Tony Stewart's view.
You saw the back end twitch. The back end jumped out. He tried to catch it, and that was the end of it. But the car actually got loose entering the corner, and that's what started the problem.
And that's a great example of what they've been talking about, and how fast that happens.
Well, a mile oval. Now watch the back of the car right in that area. It'll actually jump out. It'll jump to the right. He tries to catch it. When he does, it grabs, and then it's a tank slapper, and he's into the wall.
And he tried desperately to get it saved just before he got to the wall, but he didn't. We'll be back with more of the Colorado 200 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
We did the right thing. Sports coverage you can count on.
ABC Sports presentation of the 1997 Colorado 200 continues.
Back at the Colorado 200 at the beautiful Pikes Peak Raceway. They're cleaning up Johnny Unser's accident now, and at the same time, over on the infield, the A.J. Foyt team has finally gotten over to the #1 car and see what they can do with it. Let's get further updates on everything from Jack.
Well, Paul, behind me is the Infield Care Center, and Scott Sharp has been removed by ambulance to the Penrose Memorial Hospital here in the Colorado Springs area. Now, the report from IRL is that Scott is awake and conscious, and for the most part, he's being transferred because, you know, his past history with the concussions and the bleeding inside of his brain. Dr. Henry Bach will be addressing this, along with the condition of Johnny Unser, in just a couple of minutes. Let's check in with Jan Beekes.
Well, we're standing by with A.J. Foyt. The good news is it appears as though Scott Sharp is okay. The car is not hurt bad. Any idea what happened?
Well, I think, you know, he got jumped a little bit on the start, and he just tried to make it up, and it just jumped out from under him. It's just one of the misfortune things. I mean, he was pumped up pretty good, and I heard they put some sealer on there, but you can't blame it on nothing. It's just one of them racing accidents. I've done it. We've all done it. That's racing.
Now, as soon as you got back here, you grabbed another set of headphones so you could talk to Davey Hamilton. What have you been sharing with him, and how is he doing?
Well, just sharing information and working with the chassis on him. You know, I have him on the other radio, but the other radio wasn't working proper, so I switched headphones.
All right, thank you, A.J.
Thank you very much.
Paul?
A couple of things happened while we were away. Under the yellow, this man, Ari Lyondike, he came into the pits. Remember, he has ongoing problems and was falling backwards, so hopefully they got that repaired. And Buddy Lazier, who is reporting a clutch problem, also came into the pits, and we'll have to wait and see until we go back to green to find out whether or not both of those repairs work. Eddie Cheever came into the pits as well. In fact, he's just rolled into the pits. So here we are, rather early in the race, and a number of cars taking advantage of this early yellow with just 32 laps complete. Now tonight on ABC starts with Second Noah and America's Funniest Home Videos. Then at 8:30, 7:30 Central, William Hurt and Christine Latte star in The Doctor on the Sunday night movie tonight on ABC. So, Tom, there are a couple of drivers that are struggling here. Questions about Lazier, questions about Ari, and some guys stopping what would seem to be way early.
Well, I don't say way early because it's a new racetrack. It's the first time they've been there. They don't have a good database on what the chassis wants, so they're guessing a lot. A lot of them look forward to this first yellow to be able to make adjustments on the chassis and try to get that balance corrected.
Greg Ray in the pits now. Let's go further down to Jackaroo. Jack, any chance that they got Lyondike working better, you think?
Well, Skip Fall's the chief mechanic for Ari Lyondike's car, and he said that what they did is they literally worked on adding more downforce to the car. Tom Sneva, you know how they do that? Go to the wings.
Yeah, that's the quickest way to adjust the chassis. And when you got a 1 mile oval and you're running in 20 seconds, you don't have much time in the pits, even under a yellow, to make adjustment without losing a lot of time and possibly a lap.
Marco Greco, Stefan Gregoire also hit the pits under this yellow segment. When we come back, we should be ready to go green flag racing. Buddy Lazier was sitting right in front of Tony Stewart, in danger of going a lap down to Stewart. And as they hit the green flag, Lazier let him up, and he is leading Stewart, but not leading the race. Jackaroo?
Well, Paul, it should be only temporary, though. Buddy Lazier, checking with Ronnie Dawson's crew chief, the clutch, they feel, is basically terminal. Now, you can run the race without a clutch, but on starts, restarts, and especially on pit road, it really creates havoc.
What we're looking at here is pretty neat as Lazier pulls away from Stewart.
Well, Buddy made a couple stops, and they obviously were able to try to balance the chassis out, and they've got it obviously pretty close. The key is, if he doesn't have the clutch, the pit stops are really what's going to hurt him. It's been done, but it's real tough for the clutch to get out in high gear.
Eddie Cheever, the first plus car, was in and out of the pits. He's back out in 12th place. but they made massive wing changes on that car.
Well, actually, I talked to Eddie. Whoa, we got a crash. Turn 4 coming off the 4.
See if everybody gets through safely here.
It's one of the old Navy cars. I can't. Yeah, it's Jimmy Kite.
Oh, that's too bad. Jimmy Kite, the midget driver, is looking awfully good here. So we slow under yellow. A lot of damage, little fire. That's not an issue to Jimmy. And he takes the wheel off, so Jimmy Kite is okay.
Yeah.
The race has been punctuated now with yellows and crashes in the early going.
Yeah, and when we talk about Jimmy Kite, I don't think we ought to call him a midget driver. He's pretty short, Paul.
He drives midget race cars. Here it is, Tom.
He's right in the middle of 2 cars. Yeah, same thing. He's down low. He's trying to pinch it to get underneath the car, coming off the corner, and the back end just jumped around on him.
So as they get him out of the car, and that fire, by the way, that's oil tank and whatever fuel might be in the lines. It's not an issue to the driver, was it?
Well, there's Jimmy right in the middle of these 2 cars. Again, he's down low. He's got a little... His car is actually handling better than the guy in front of him. He's getting a run underneath, but you can see again he's right down on that white line. He's got to pinch the car a little bit. As he does, you can see the back end jump out, and around it goes. Look how close.
That's Billy Boat that had to dart to get out of the way there.
Yeah, that's every once in a while you'll blink an eye when you're that close to an accident.
He was running in 9th. That was Billy Boat just behind. Jan?
Well, Paul, it's not necessarily a bad day for Kite. Hopefully, if he is okay. I just spoke with Andy Evans, who, of course, is the team owner. This morning, they have signed him to a 5-year deal to drive for Team Scandia. So he still has a future in the IRL, but obviously it ended early today.
So with just 42 laps down in the record book, we have a series of accidents at Colorado in the Colorado 200. We come back with more action, hopefully.
Pro Beach Volleyball. Don't forget the Sunblock Saturday on ABC Sports.
Back at the Colorado 200, still a lot of work over on the front stretch just before the start-finish line, so they're feeding the cars down the pit road while they get the cleanup complete from Jimmy Kite's accident. Now, Buddy Lazier was able to get his lap back the way events fell here, and so he is back on the leader lap. Jack Arute?
Well, Paul, it was a good break for Ari Lyondike that the cars had to come down through pit road. Skip Ball is the crew chief as you ride on board with Ari Lyondike, but he thought he was involved in the Kite accident, running over some of the debris. So he talked to Skip here, and he said, look, when I come down pit road, come out to the edge of the pit box and look and give me an inspection of the car. They did that about a lap ago. Skip radioed to Ari, hey, everything's okay.
Well, and what happens there, Paul, is a lot of times the driver, when he's going that slow, can't really feel if he's got a tire going down. So visually, it helps. If they can get that close to the pit wall, they can maybe help the driver determine whether he's got a problem or not.
So Skip Ball continues to look on and communicate with his driver. Don't forget next week, NASCAR Winston Cup, the Pepsi 400. The qualifying will be on Thursday on ESPN2, July 3rd, 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. And then the race itself, Saturday on ESPN, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific from Daytona International Speedway in Daytona, Florida. So, Kite's car on the hook as, again, Tony Stewart leading the pack behind the pace car, takes the field through the pits. Now, let's go back and go over Tony Stewart's history. He's led all but one IRL race, but his misfortunes have been rather constant. We go back to the 1996 Indianapolis 500-mile race. He started from the pole position. He led for 44 laps of that run, and then the engine let go. Then at New Hampshire last year, 2-lap lead on the entire field. And then suddenly he headed into the pits. They reported it as an electrical problem on the car. Orlando this year, late in the race, taking the lead, a minor oil fitting breaks, and he spins in his own fluid. And then, just 2 weeks ago at Texas, 3 laps from the finish, looking for his first IRL win, in the lead. And again, an engine failure cost him the victory. Tony Stewart has not yet won. Could today be the day? So now let's get an update for you on a couple of different situations having to do with the track hospital and Jackaroo.
Let's check in with Dr. Hank Bach, who is in charge of the IRL medical people. First, the condition officially of Scott Sharp.
Scott Sharp was in good condition when he left here, Jack. He had some confusion out on the racetrack, so he's down at the hospital getting scanned for a precaution.
What about Johnny Unser and Jimmy Kite?
If you stay around here a few more minutes, Johnny Unser will come right out that door, and so will Jimmy Kite.
Well, that's good news, Paul.
So Dr. Henry Bach tells us that at least Jimmy Kite and Johnny Unser are in great shape. We'll be back with more of the Colorado 200 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Are you trying to...
Drier by midweek, your SkyTech forecast at 6.
ABC Sports presentation of the 1997 Colorado 200 continues.
Pikes Peak International Raceway. Paul Page with Tom Sneva. We're still under yellow. Tony Stewart is the leader of the race. He has been the leader right from the green flag. And we've had a series of incidents that have taken several cars out of competition. We start our stories with Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, Dr. Bach said we'd see this man very shortly. Johnny Unser, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, just banged up a little bit, but I'll be fine.
Let's talk about that accident. We're watching from Tony Stewart's car, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose for you.
I don't know really what happened. It felt like the front end of the car got pinned, and it just came around in a heartbeat. So I don't know if it was the air or exactly what it was. We'll go back and look at things and just see if we can figure out exactly what happened.
Johnny, why do you think we're seeing so many accidents during the course of this race when we really didn't have that much during practice?
I don't know, unless the track's just getting greasier, the conditions, you know, it's a hot day, but it's no hotter than yesterday, and I don't know what it is right now. All I can say is it may have something to do with, you know, with the amount of rubber getting laid down on the track.
Well, Jonathan Bird's Brine Heating and Cooling Special is out of the race, and they had, Paul, a brand new Infiniti engine that was supposed to have a lot more horsepower.
Elton Johnny Unser, of course, subbing for Mike Groff. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Well, of course, now some pit strategy may come into play. Davey Hamilton, of course, driving for A.J. Foyt, has not come onto pit road. So we just asked A.J., when are you going to pit? He says, I'm pretty sure that we're going to pit before this yellow is over. They're waiting until the very last moment, hoping that they can get into the fuel window that would make this a two-stop race.
And yeah, that's exactly what they're also trying to do with Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart and Bill Martin, the crew chief, say they want to try and extend the window as far as possible. Walking out of the hospital now is Jimmy Kite. What a ride.
Yeah, it was a rookie mistake. I mean, that's all there was to it. I had been following the 17 car, and I tried to turn down underneath him, and as soon as I did, I got a big blast of air and stuck the front end and went around. I mean, I'll learn. Hopefully we'll get a lot more chances to...
Taking a look at your spin, what went through your mind when all of a sudden you were doing that 360?
I wish this wouldn't have happened so soon. I was having too much fun. I mean, it's a shame. Old Navy and Andy Evans and Team Skinny, they've been really great, and I'm sorry for them this happened, but maybe we'll get some more races and get more chances to at least finish some more, maybe win someone down the road.
Well, Jan Beekes has told us that you've signed a 5-year contract earlier today.
Yeah, so we'll be with them for a while. Like I said, hopefully our next one we'll go to Charlotte, get some laps in down there, and at least worry about finishing down there.
Paul, I like this kid. He's shorter than I am.
I'll tell you what, without question, he is someone to watch as one of the future stars of the IRL. Well, they're continuing that cleanup. They're fairly close to having the track back in condition, and some of the crews, most notably Marco Greco's team, decided they'd get him in. But once again, the first 7 cars have not made their pit stop yet. There is Greco in the 70 car driving for Rick Kelly. So Stewart, Hamilton, Goodyear, Calkins, Giafoni, Bowden, Groff have not stopped. Now Saturday at 4:30, 3:30 Central on ABC's Wide World of Sports, our Valvoline Professional Boxing Series features an IBF Junior Middleweight bout. The reigning champion, Raul Marquis, will take on Romales Elias, who is 24-1-0. Ready to go racing. And I'll tell you what, Hamilton and anybody else that planned on jumping in before they go green may have been caught out.
Well, Paul, here's the reason why. Track position. It's been determined by all the front runners that, hey, Forget whether it's a fuel window or not. I need to hold on to track position as long as I possibly can. So we're seeing the first strategy evolve, and that says, I'm going to stay out front. I'll worry about the pit stop later.
Well, if they have to pit under the green, they're going to lose a lot more track position than just from the front of the pack to the pack. So this is a little bit of a gamble for these guys.
So as they'll come back to green, Tony Stewart, of course, that bright yellow Glidden car is the leader. But Davey Hamilton has gotten caught up behind another car. Boy, take a look here.
Well, again, Mark Dismore got a little bit of run on the leader coming down the front straightaway, but again, he didn't have the momentum. He had to pinch it too tight underneath and wasn't able to get that flat back.
Mark Dismore, the second car in your picture, trying to protect his position a little further back in the field. This fight developing. That's 7th place, Robbie Gross in the white car as he tries to come forward. Groff and Billy Boat battling. Well, were battling. They've broken off now. Now Robbie Groff begins to work on Giafone.
You can see there Jimmy Kite really hit upon it. When you're tucked in behind a car, you lose some of the air in those front wings, and as you pull out from behind him, it sticks the front end, and sometimes it causes the back end to jump out. We're seeing here, Paul, is if you've got an unbalanced situation, if you've got a car that's pushing, you're going to heat up the right front. At this racetrack, with the corners so long, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, you never have a chance to cool down that tire. If it's the right front in a push condition or the right rear in a loose condition, you never give the opportunity for that tire to cool down, and so really the problem just continues to get a little bit worse as the laps go by.
Well, now, there are several things, in fact, that relate to the high air temperature today. Temperature is in the 90s, very dry up, of course, at this altitude. But Larry Curry was pointing out that you either want to be in the front or you want to be well back off the car in front of you so that you can get proper cooling through your radiators, especially at this altitude.
And Paul, one thing that Larry Curry is doing right now is instructing his driver, Tony Stewart, to go to 4th gear. That is their cruise gear. So, Tom Stevie, you're absolutely right. They're beginning to feel the heat of their decision. Track position be damned, we still need 35 gallons of fuel.
Exactly right. We'll have to wait and see. If they don't get the yellow at the right time, you know, their window's a lot shorter than some of these guys that have stopped already.
Mark Dismore works on Robbie Groff at the line. He was even. Will he be able to pull ahead? Dismore, of course.
Paul, one of the other things talking about that fuel economy, we mentioned it just briefly at the beginning of the show. We are at 5,300 feet. We talked about you lose 80 horsepower. Well, it also gives you about 10% better fuel economy because obviously it takes more fuel to make more power. So they're getting about 2.2 to 2.4 miles per gallon, so they can go a little bit farther on that 35 gallons.
Yeah, there was an eye on Billy Boat chasing down Alfonso Giafone.
Well, Billy's been coming through the pack throughout, right from the very start, and doing a good job with this PDM car.
Billy Boat, that's the red and white car. Giafone, the 17 car. Boat looks down low. This battle is for 5th. Boat started in 15th place.
Well, Billy, even though he's a rookie with the Indy cars, he's had a lot of experience on these short tracks and uses his head real well. He's a little bit quicker, but he's using his head, making sure he doesn't make a mistake when he tries for this pass. Nice job there.
Oh, boy, was that smooth. Billy Boat down inside and around. Mike Groff closing on Giafone now. Boat, of course, substituting for John Paul Jr., who is really scheduled to be back in that car as we come back to Tony Stewart in the front of the field. John Paul Jr., his legs from his accident at Indy still haven't mended quite enough. So he has to sit this one out as well. He hopes to be back at the next IRL race at Charlotte.
And Paul, expect Billy Boat to be back at the next Charlotte race as well. Word is that A.J. Foyt will field 3 cars, maybe for the rest of the year, definitely next year, and Billy Boat will be his 3rd driver.
So are you saying, Jack, that A.J. was pretty high on Billy after the Texas run?
Yeah, I'd say that he's not only impressed by Billy Boat, but also by the way he can read back to the crew what the car is doing. And I think when you talk about Boat, you talk about Jimmy Kite. A lot of these guys coming from the midgets and the sprint cars, they seem to be fitting right in with their counterparts in the IRL.
Second car is Marco Greco that you saw a moment ago, the 70 car. But here's Lyondike, and he's locked in a battle. Saspori is right there.
We got a lot of good racing going on all around this racetrack.
Oh, wait a minute.
Fun to watch.
Is Billy Boat coming off pace now? Billy Boat comes way to the inside off the corner, very definitely off pace. So Billy Boat was running in 6th, the 18 car, and he turns into the pits. So Billy Boat, who was running very well, suddenly drops out. Robbie Groff comes forward into 6th, followed by Lyondike, Sospiri, and Kenny Breck.
These guys are in a hurry, so it doesn't look like it's terminal. They definitely feel like they can get back out there.
I wonder if it is just simply a fuel issue. Back out on the track, battle heats up between Davey Hamilton and Scott Goodyear. Hamilton is the orange and white car. Sits in the middle there. There he is. And Scott Goodyear, the number 6 car, Nortel, blue and white, right behind him. So Jan Vikas, what's up with Billy Boat?
Well, he had a tire going down, Paul, so that's why he came on to pit road. He did have more fuel in the car, but decided, obviously, if you have a tire going down, you've got to hit pit road.
Yeah, there's no question. The first time, or any time, that you come into the pit, no matter what else you're going to do, there's no reason not to hook up the fuel hose.
We've got good traffic battles here. This is one of the keys to these miles. How you anticipate, how do you play the traffic, and that's really a key to success in a mile over.
Hamilton had to handle up some traffic the IRL points later. That caught Scott Goodyear out. Now he needs a little room to get back into the fight. And that red car, take a look at the number 12. The red car is Buzz Calkins. He's catching Goodyear. So the battle has shifted back a little bit from a battle for second to now Goodyear defending in a battle for third.
These guys tiptoeing through traffic allow the guys behind free of traffic to catch up, and that's what happened to Calkins.
Hey, Paul, you've been talking both about Calkins and Davey Hamilton. Davey Hamilton has a push. He's starting to back up, whereas Buzz Calkins, his car has been working perfectly. He says that everyone else's car around him has been slowing down. They have been maintaining the same pace, which is why he's going to the front. And, of course, he's from Denver, Colorado, has a lot of hometown folks here.
And Jan Ari Lyondike is going to the back again because the car's gone loose on him once again. They've gone to the weight jackers on board, but still, they're going to make a tire pressure adjustment in their next pit stop.
And you got a glimpse there of Alfonso Giafone, who came down onto the pits and then right on through.
Well, we talked about Lyondike. Now he's loose. Early in the race, you remember, Paul, he had an understeer. He was pushing. They made an adjustment. It looks like they might have gone a little bit too far, and now they're going the other direction.
Buzz Calkins, the red car, continues to work on Scott Goodyear. Goodyear is 11.5 seconds back from the leader, Tony Stewart.
Tom, the thing that Ari Lyondike's reporting is he's saying that the entire car is sliding in the corner. So, I mean, that's a handful on a mile track. And what's happened now is Scott Goodyear is also reporting the same thing.
Yeah, but it can't be much of a report because Scott Goodyear just moved inside of Hamilton and picked up second place.
Well, Scotty did a good job in traffic there and cut him out a little bit. Nicely done. But that indicates probably the track's getting a little bit greasy. It's a brand new track. Nobody knew how it was going to respond. And if it's getting a little bit greasy and the whole car is sliding, then they've got to add downforce all the way around the racetrack or just bite your lip and try to hang on to that sucker.
Hamilton searching for another line that he can try and catch Scott Goodyear on. Here comes Buzz Calkins, who takes a move to the inside to try to get back in contact with Davey Hamilton.
And Paul, Davey Hamilton is having more and more push. A.J. Foyt wants to bring him on the pit road to make an adjustment, but he doesn't want to lose that track position that Jack was talking about before. So he's dropping further and further back. A.J. is really getting excited, hoping for yellow so they can fix that car.
Giafone, the 17 car, gets in the middle of all that traffic. He, of course, is not in the fight. Because of that pass through the pits, you're on board now. The Gallus Monsoon car with Kenny Breck.
Well, there he got a good run on Calkins going down into turn 1, and it was enough of a run to actually get by and make that pass happen.
And put him into 4th place. So second, third, and fourth has been very busy and very hot. Roberto Guerrero now comes in there. He's going to try to get around, and in fact does, move around Calkins. So Calkins, it appears, has a problem, as Robbie Groff also gets him right at the line.
Well, we saw Roberto earlier, and he was actually backing up a little bit, but he's obviously the car's come into some kind of balance that he's able to actually go forward now towards the end of this segment of the race.
Kenny Breck's radio, you just heard.
He's coming in the pit. You see him downshift right there. He's coming in. Very loose. That's not a signal you want to hear from your driver.
So Kenny Breck comes in. The Gallus team goes to work.
Watch your clutch, leaving pit.
We'll have to see if they go to the front wings. They do. Both sides, one turn down. It's a good stop, but I'm not sure. The driver says it's very loose. I'm not sure one turn of wing is going to be enough of an adjustment to satisfy our driver. He says the car is very loose.
So Tom, what's happening there? They put more front wing angle in. As Buddy Lazier comes back into the pits, that makes the front end stick better.
Yeah, but I think if he was loose, they had to take the wing out. They were flattening the front wings to try to move the center of the pressure of the car towards the rear and hopefully stick the rear.
So Buddy Lazier comes into the pits. Remember, he was in before under the second yellow. Now with 114 laps to go.
Got a crash.
He comes
we
in
got
again.
somebody in the wall. Billy Boat and Guerrero.
There they are. Up against the wall. Boy, that's getting costly with cars. So Billy Boat, Roberto Guerrero. Guerrero, the number 21 yellow Pennzoil car. Both the 18 Flip car in the fourth yellow of the day.
Yeah, Billy had just made the stop, remember, and Roberto was at the end or just about ready to make a stop. So it's hard to say so far what started this mess.
Guerrero, I have no idea what happened, which has pretty much been the answer from everybody. The good news is both the drivers are moving. Roberto already out of the car, and Billy Boat just pulling some of his equipment loose so he can climb out as soon as the safety crew is there. And Tony Stewart, well, this just may be the day. He's still the leader under this fourth yellow.
Well, it gives them the yellow they're looking for. They're going to stop when the pit opens now. It gives them that opportunity to stop under the yellow, and that's what they were hoping for.
Hand out of the pace car. That's telling them not to go into the pits. Pits are closed. Exactly. So now under this yellow, they've just...
14 turns in. That's how bad we are.
Now that was interesting.
We're going to take 2 turns of front wing out of.
Sounds like Larry Curry talking to Tony Stewart.
Well, that's exactly what we were hearing, and by the adjustment, they're going to change the wing 2 turns. So
they open the pits, and you come down pit lane. Make sure you watch your speed limit.
Tom, you want to know how bad loose Tony Stewart's car was just before we turned up his radio? He reported to Larry Curry.
They're saying the pits are open, bring it in. Pits are open, bring it in.
There you go. Stewart will be coming in, but he had changed his onboard weight jackers. He had twisted that knob 14 times. That's how bad loose this car was. You will watch as he comes down onto pit road and watch for the adjustments. Remember, wing and stagger. We talk about stagger, that's the difference in the circumference of the outside tires and the inside tires. If you've got them right, the car will want to turn naturally, but they're going to try and close it up now.
Well, 14 turns is about as big a range as you can have.
So Stewart and second place Scott Goodyear both head into the pit. Jack?
So we're watching Tony Stewart and Scott Goodyear going to work. Now remember, Goodyear was also complaining of the car being loose. Looks like Stewart, they're making the adjustment. They're taking 2 turns out of the wing. Stewart is done first. Meanwhile, they continue to work on Scott Goodyear. He almost gets the air hose of the Clinton team, but he's out in the way as well.
Goodyear comes out alongside Giaffoni, who is 2 laps off of the pace now. And Davey Hamilton came in as well, Jan Beekes.
Yes, he did, but he was here a long time, Paul. 17.84 seconds. They went to put more wing into the front. They wanted to put 2 turns in, and unfortunately the one on the left-hand side stuck. So over 17 seconds, Hamilton had a long stop.
So the top 3 cars all head for the pits under this yellow with an accident involving Roberto Guerrero and Billy Boat. We'll be back with more from Colorado.
partners in performance. The 1997 Colorado 200 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Craftsman 2200 hand tools made in America, guaranteed forever, only at Sears. And Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil.
Well, Billy Boat's car is on the hook. They still have to get Roberto Guerrero's car down away from the wall. And then we can get the track clean. We can go back to green flag racing. 107 laps to go here in the Colorado 200 in a race punctuated by accidents throughout the day. Ari Luyendyk on board there as he circulates behind the pace car tomorrow night on ABC. Discover Monday with an intriguing look at Blue Whales, Giants of the Deep. And then Judith Light stars in a powerful movie based on actual events. Against Their Will, Women in Prison, all tomorrow night here on ABC. Well, Stefan Gregoire is actually leading this race right now, but he pitted last on lap 33, so he ought to be in any time now. Revisiting our stories of the day, the track temperatures certainly have figured somewhat into the accidents here. The altitude, well, they seem to be running just fine, not affected the engines. Ari's hat trick, oh, isn't looking good. And can Tony Stewart win his first? Well, maybe. He's led much of this race. Jack Root.
Well, those stories of the day, let's talk about Ari Luyendyk's hat trick. These are the wings, spare wings for Ari Luyendyk. When he came into the pits, they added 3 turns in the wings. That changes the angle of attack on the front wing. But in the rear wing, there's what's called a wicker bill or a gurney flap. It's a little lip at the end of the wing that gives you some additional downforce. They took this wicker bill out. They put one in that was a 1/4 inch thicker. They are trying to solve an elusive loose condition. If they can solve that, Ari Luyendyk could still go after win number 3. Let's go to Jan Bikas.
Well, Jack, the leader of the race, as Paul has told us, is Stefan Gregoire, and Paul said, well, he should be on pit road anytime. He's right. What the crew is waiting for is they're waiting for the end of this yellow, so obviously they can increase their next pit window as far as possible. So he does get a chance to lead these laps. Obviously, it's fun to be out there to stay in the lead and have that opportunity in front of the fans, but unfortunately, he will lose track time or track position big time here shortly.
And it should be a little while before they actually are ready to go back to green flag racing. They're still finishing getting some of the oil dry off of the track up in turn 4.
It's blue. ABC Tuesdays. Viewer discretion advised.
We've just gone back to green flag racing and crossed the halfway point in the Colorado 200. Gregoire did come into the pits as predicted. Tony Stewart picked up the lead. Scott Goodyear now runs in second. Vincenzo Sospiri is up to third. You're right with Eddie Cheever, who is in 5th place. The battle is right in this area right now. Cheever is really chasing the 14 car of Davey Hamilton, but behind Cheever is Groff, Calkins, and Luyendyk all lined up to attack.
Well, on that restart, there was a lot of good traffic that was fun to watch for a second there.
Look back from Eddie Cheever, Luyendyk in pursuit. Here they are over on the very short quarter-mile-long backstretch. The only chance that they get to rest at any time during the run. And they get about 3.2 seconds of rest.
Yeah, well, there's no rest on a mile over. These are bull ranks, and these guys are battling. Fortunately, they've had some yellows, so physically it's not going to be a problem, but it's fun to watch.
22 cars started, 17 are still in the run. 9 on the leader lap, all the way back to Stefan Gregoire, who led right up to the end of that yellow and then did duck into the pits and refuel. Robbie Groff, the white car, chases Eddie Cheever in the first plus car. Look back now from Cheever. It's actually a 4-way battle that starts in 3rd place with Sospiri, then Hamilton, then Cheever, then Groff. They're the fight on the course right now, and this is the closest to that battle. There you see Sospiri in the blue and white Old Navy car, and Davey Hamilton, the orange and white number 14.
Well, you see Davey got real close to him in the middle of the corner, but it actually took the air away from the car, and so he lost ground on the exit of that turn.
And about 2 seconds ahead on the race course from this battle is Scott Goodyear, running alone in second place, 1 second back from the leader.
Again, what happens is Davey got the air taken away on the front of the car. When that happens, you tend to heat up that right front tire. A lot of times it doesn't cool back down, so the car might be balanced. You get in traffic, you heat up a tire, and with this kind of racetrack, when you're in the corner so long, you never get a chance to cool that tire back down, and it might destroy the handling for the rest of that segment.
Look at Scott Goodyear as he's been nibbling away at the leader. And then must have caught traffic. But Scott Goodyear, very savvy race driver. So remember, the last yellow flag involved Billy Boat and Roberto Guerrero. Jack, how's Roberto first?
Well, let's ask him. How are you?
Oh, I'm bummed out. You know, obviously, I should be really bummed out, but at least I'm happy that we were running well, and I think we're back in contention. So I'm really looking forward to Charlotte. It's too bad that, you know, I was getting set up to pass Billy, and he was a little loose. He just lost it, and I had nowhere to go. So, but the car was working really well. The Pensol guys were doing a great job with the car, and we were doing really well.
It's one thing when you can be excited coming out of the hospital, and that's the case for Roberto Guerrero. He's okay. Meanwhile, Billy Boat is over here, and we're going to try and get a word with Billy as well. Now remember, Billy Boat was involved in the accident with Roberto Guerrero, and he's actually getting interviewed right now. Billy, what happened during that altercation with Roberto?
I wouldn't really call it an altercation. You know, my car was just loose, and he ran in there behind me, and I think I was on the edge anyways, probably helped me go over it. And, you know, I spun, and he got into me.
What about the track conditions? A lot of people are starting to think that maybe the track is getting really, really slick.
It is getting slick, you know. My car, we've been pushing all weekend. About 50 laps into it, the thing went dead loose, and, you know, I was just hanging on where I was. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to the end.
Well, these guys are out, Paul, but they're both okay.
Whoa, Ray up against the wall. Boy, just gently drifted up there. Looks like he was just driving it there for a minute.
Well, something caused him to get up there. He didn't want it to be that way. Fortunately, it just grazed a little bit. But the track, just like Billy mentioned, look at that left front spinning. But the guys, as the rubber gets laid down on these new racetracks, it really changes the conditions. And so far, they haven't been able to cope. But again, that's why they put a couple pedals in that car. You know, one's to go fast, one's to slow it down. And that's where the driver's got to use his head.
Oh, you got to use both of them.
Yeah. And Tom, remember, when you lay down new asphalt, it is built with partial petroleum distillate. So in hot conditions and temperatures is part of our stories of the day. The temperatures are up over 90 degrees. You add that and combine it, the track can get real slick.
Again, he's up high right here. Now he just gets up where there's virgin territory, and he couldn't save it. He drove it up there because he probably didn't want to wiggle the back end, but once he got up there and into that gray, the marbles, some of that rubber, as we progress in this race, gets blown up into that outside area.
Well, good news as he climbs out of the car. Jan, what's the crew think?
Well, they've been talking with Greg, and he had a progressive push. In other words, the push got worse and worse, and as it got worse, obviously, as Tom was saying, that had him drift high, and he just got to the point to where he couldn't bring it back, and thankfully, it wasn't a super heavy hit. The crew can see Greg and the car, but obviously disappointed their day is done.
And this accident works in favor of Kenny Breck, who was able to get back on the lead lap. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Sports presentation of the 1997 Colorado 200 continues.
Back at Colorado, still under the yellow. Coming up next, ABC Sports begins its coverage of one of the world's most dramatic sporting events, the Tour de France, with a 1-hour preview special. That's right after the race here from Pikes Peak International Raceway. Well, Tony Stewart is the leader, but now with 83 miles to go in the run, the leaders of this 16-car run, there are still 16 left and 10 on the leader lap, are beginning to wonder, when do we make our last fuel stop? Could we make it now? Well, they're going to go green almost right away, but now you're really wondering.
Yeah, this is a strategy. I'm sure the crews are double or thinking twice with themselves because, again, you can almost make it at this point. They're hoping for another yellow now because it's going to go green, and none of the leaders stopped.
In the tire war, 1 and 2, Stewart and Goodyear teammates, or not teammates, Stewart and Goodyear are both on Firestone. Then 3rd through 5th, those are Goodyear tires. In the chassis, G-Force runs 1st and 2nd, Dallara is 3rd, and G-Force rounds out 4th and 5th. Green flag, here we go again. Up for 2nd place, so Sperry trying to move on Goodyear. Vincenzo Sperry comes alongside him as they head into 3. And so Sperry moves into 2nd place. Goodyear back to 3rd. Hamilton will now try to move on Goodyear.
Goodyear seems to have a little bit of a problem because Sperry had no problem going by.
Cheever takes a look down to the inside of Hamilton. Hamilton and Cheever side by side. The 51 car of Cheever pushes a nose ahead. Here comes Groff. Robbie Groff gets into this fight. Calkins comes in as well.
We got a good battle there. That's fun to watch. There's 3 or 4 guys just battling for track space.
And this is all up at the front of the field. 2nd back through 6th place, Groff. Here comes Calkins. He tries the lower line on Groff again. They all now have to deal with Eliseo Salazar, who sits down low. Salazar out of the way. Fight continues on. Hamilton now looking back at trying to get Cheever again.
Well, Cheever's done a good job. Early in the race, he wasn't much of a factor. They had a lot of problems. The balance is off tremendously, but they've been able to make the correction. And now he's back in the hunt.
Fight continues. Hamilton trying to close a little bit. Cheever's still looking at Goodyear. Battle closes up. 4-way battle for 4th place.
What you'll see is a lot of times the guy will be a little bit quicker, but when he gets up tight behind the guy, then the balance of the race car changes. He loses some of the air to the front and adversely affects that handling. And again, he doesn't have quite enough to get by. Short straightaways, it doesn't give you much of a time to get a run on a guy, even if he can get off the corner quicker than he does.
Calkins tends to come off the floor in that bright red number 12 Bradley car with the nose a little bit to the inside of Cross, but it doesn't do him any good. They maintain station. It's Stewart, so Sperry, Goodyear, and then this battle, which now stretches all the way back to Lion Dyke and Gregoire, who runs in 9th place.
Paul, you are talking about Buzz Calkins in particular, and we saw the way that Sperry rocketed to the front. It comes down to their pit stops and what they changed. On Sperry, they only changed tire pressure to get rid of the push. Davey Hamilton, we saw they changed wings, and that was the same thing for Buzz Calkins. So they're having similar problems, but different routes to fix it.
Well, now we mentioned at the beginning of our coverage, as we continue to watch this battle, that Jim Guthrie was involved in an accident in practice, got into the wall, and suffered a fracture of his 7th thoracic vertebrae. Jim's on the phone with us now. Jim, I bet you're really missing this one.
Oh, man, those guys look like they're having a blast out there.
Tell me about the injuries, please.
Well, like you said, it was cracked vertebrae, my 7th. But really the worst part about it is just my neck and my left shoulder. All the muscles in the back are very bruised and puffed up and swollen. But other than being real stiff, I'm okay.
Now, there are a number of drivers here, like Tice Carlson might have been available for the Jacuzzi car, but you're not running it.
No, we decided that it wouldn't be fair to put anybody in the car that didn't have time here on the track, and it just might be a dangerous situation. So we decided just to be conservative and gear up for Charlotte.
Jim, how long before you're back?
Well, who knows? Somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks.
Well, so hopefully we'll see you back when we begin our coverage at Loudon. Jim Guthrie, hope you get well just very quickly, and we miss you here today.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, Paul.
Take a look now as Buzz Calkins gets down alongside of Groff.
Actually, Robbie was right up there playing with Davey.
Whoa, look at this! Here's Cheever and Davey working again, and this time Davey takes him.
And I got to believe Groff was going a little bit loose, because you could see the car wiggling when he was between all that traffic. The back of the car was wiggling a little bit. Here we got Cheever, but look at Davey go. Right in the middle of the corner, you see Davey jump out about 4 car lengths right there.
You see how Cheever was fighting the wheel. Let's watch as we go down to the next corner. Maybe we can just ride here with Eddie Cheever for a while. Pretty steady through 3 and 4.
Yeah, but listen to the engine. You can tell how much he's rolling out of the throttle as we enter this corner.
So the movement of hands last time through 1 and 2 was him actually catching something. He's way out of that throttle when he gets in there. Gregoire, Kenny Breck battle for 8th place. Stefan Gregoire in that blue car was the leader under yellow. Kenny Breck has been in and out of the pits a couple times, but has stayed in contact. Now we take a look forward from Ari Lyondike.
Well, he's the
third back behind Kenny Breck.
Third guy in that group.
Lyondike at 10th, hoping for the hat trick. 3 in a row here. Doesn't seem possible. Now, looking back from Lyondike, from Kenny Breck's car.
Well, you saw how Ari closed up on the entrance to the corner and then lost some space on the exit. So Ari's a little quicker getting in, but he can't get the power down coming off. Now he's having pretty good luck. He got off that corner a lot.
Ari's still working him. Now he gets inside his left rear. Ari and Breck side by side in the corner. Not a lot of room for that. Lyondike resolves the situation. Comes forward into 9th.
Lyondike continues to have his hands full. The team and the driver are very, very frustrated. Seems like everything they do to the car is a quick fix. What that means is it lasts for about 10 laps, and then the car goes big time loose again. In exasperation, Ari a couple of laps ago said, look, guys, we're just going to have to do the very best we can. But I don't know if it's going to be good enough to win.
Well, you talk about the car going away after 4 or 5 laps.
Boy, look at Buzz Calkins and Eddie Cheever as they battle, and this fight is for 5th. Calkins gets around him. Sorry, Tom.
No, that's fine. That's what it's all about. A mile over, things happen in such a hurry that you don't have time for a mile.
There's Robbie Cross, the white number 30 car. He's staying right in that fight.
I mean, a lot of good battles going on all around this racetrack, Paul.
Just to repeat what you're already seeing, IRL Danner up at the top of the screen. Stewart, Sospiri, Goodyear, Hamilton, Calkins. Those are the top 5. Cheever, Cross, Gregoire, Lyondike, and Breck rounding off the top 10, all on the leader lap.
Again, they get the car balanced for a few laps, but if they're off just a little bit, it heats up that tire so fast, and there's no time to cool it down. It just gets progressively worse.
Vincenzo Sospiri, the Old Navy car, up in 2nd place. Jan?
Well, I had a chance to talk with Mark Lyda, who was making the calls on that car. He said they could pit now and they could make it to the end, and they have enough fuel only to take them to lap 166. So obviously they are hoping for a caution flag between now and then. His teammate Eliseo Salazar was on pit road for a very long time. His car was stuck in 4th gear, so he's now way out of contention.
Well, Gregoire just made the move on Robbie Croft and moved in, and you saw the advance at the top of your screen for a moment there of Sospiri from 18th up into 2nd. Back on board Lyondike. Gregoire moves on Cheever. Whoa, all of a sudden Gregoire is really running hot.
That car seems to be staying in balance a longer amount of time as the segments go on, as the laps go on. That car keeps going to the front of the pack.
Back on board Lyondike, running in 9th. Greg Ray, the last yellow. Jack Root, he's out of the hospital.
Thank you very much. And it's good news, Greg Ray, you're okay, but tell us what happened up there. All of a sudden you were in the wall.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been having a hard day
The car started off very, very loose, and we made a few changes and cured that for a while. Then the car just went to a really big push, and I was having a hard time staying out there and staying out of everybody's way. And I got off the throttle going into turn 3, and then the car just went straight all the way up. And it's very unfortunate. You know, the team's done a great job. We ran strong in the warm-up. We were the quickest car in the warm-up, and you know, being a small team, no sponsorship, but we really needed to have a good run here. And so it's unfortunate. We need to try to get sponsorship, but we're not going to make it to Charlotte.
Greg, let's talk about the track a little bit. What would you assess the condition of the track to be right now?
Well, it's very, very slick. I've looked at a lot of cars from the back, and a lot of cars are pushing, a lot of cars are oversteering. I mean, the track was beautiful yesterday, and now that there's some rubber down and sun's coming out, it's really changed a lot. And it's probably been the biggest change of a racetrack I've ever seen.
Paul?
Well, so there's some more intelligence from the track itself, changing rapidly. Heat, the sun on the track is causing it, but boy, it's not affecting this battle. Right now, Lyondike is in the middle of it with Robbie Groff and Eddie Cheever just ahead of him.
Well, the other thing that's happening is it looks like everybody's sort of closing up. Well, we got trouble. We got trouble coming off the board to start finish line.
And it's Jack Miller, the Crest car, the racing dentist from Carmel, Indiana, who now has a three-wheeler. Well, 2.5.
Yeah, he's missing a couple teeth there.
Well, Tom, this is going to come at exactly the right time. Now, remember, the pits are closed. Jack Miller sits just down from the start-finish line. But think of all those cars that need a pit stop to run the now 54 miles to the finish.
Yeah, well, that's going to help all those guys. The good news is the Doc's moving around in there. He looks like he's in pretty good shape, not a problem. The car's got a lot of damage there, but again, this is going to take the fuel mileage out because all the leaders should come in when the pits open, and then it'll just be a sprint car race to the end.
We're going to have a little 50-lap feature to the finish.
I like it. I like it.
And Marco Greco. Fuel? No, I don't think so. He's been in the pits recently, so this has to be a little more serious. He wisely got the car off onto one of the warm-up lanes here at Pikes Peak International. And, whoa, did they have a fire problem in the cockpit, Jack?
Well, it looks like they got some heat because they're spraying her down.
I hope he's all right.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, so he walks away. So Jack Miller's all right. Now, Jack, the pits are going to get busy.
The pits are going to get busy, and the radio report from Dr. Jack Miller was he tried to get out of the way when he came up and overtaking some race traffic, got up into the gray, and the track bit him. Now, the pits are now officially open, and guys, every pit crew member is over the wall waiting. We're looking at the first plus team of Eddie Cheever, Goodyear, also Ari Lyondike, but the guy that is waiting on pins and needles at the end of pit road is Tony Stewart. Remember, Stewart has yet to win, and he feels the hot breath of Suspiri, who is also involved in the hunt for this lead. Suspiri should be the first to get to his pit box. Let's go to Jan.
Vincenzo Suspiri brings it to a stop, and Jack, they are going to change to the optional tires for Goodyear. Mark Wyda made that call. That is a softer tire. It will run faster. It will also go to the back of the car and change the rear wicker.
And Jan, for Tony Stewart, he has no choice. He will not go to the options. They're going to stay with the hard tires. Stewart is out quick. Does a drag race, falls behind Giaffoni, and it is a good job. Looks like Stewart will retain the lead. Possibly Goodyear moves into second.
But Jack, there's a problem down here. So Sperry, they can't get the wicker bill in. They keep trying. Now it goes in, but boy, he has lost valuable time. So Sperry now underway. Good thing that stop was under yellow, because that was a very long one.
Well, that's the key, is under the yellow, but that looked like a lot of speed into the pits right there for Sperry. Let's hope that didn't catch him out.
And you know, with a quiet but good stop, Scott Goodyear was right in and out. We'll be back.
Think about your car a lot. You have grease.
Position next Sunday on ABC Sports.
Back in Colorado, the Colorado 200, 49 laps to go. We're still under yellow. Tony Stewart is the leader. Did some interesting things happen. I mentioned the great stop by Goodyear, quick in and out. Well, Jack, it was because they still had a problem.
Well, it was a great stop. In fact, the fueler took this nozzle, inserted it into the 35-gallon fuel cell, and fuel should have gone into the cell. It did not. Now let me show you down here, if I can get the camera crew back here to the insert. This is an aircraft quality nozzle. When you push it in, this should depress a diaphragm inside and let the fuel in. Obviously, it didn't happen. Scott Goodyear had to come back in for a second stop. He's lost track position, Jan Beekes.
Well, a guy who gained track position was Buzz Calkins. He now finds himself in second place. A 10.7-second stop. Think about that and how slow it was for Sospiri. Another guy who also moved up was Stefan Gregoire. He moved himself after another pit stop, fast one that is, up to third place. So down here on this pit road, at least at this end, some really quick stops made a big difference.
Yeah, but of the cars that we were focusing on just before that, Yellow, like Goodyear and Sospiri, they have dropped back to 9th and 10th. There are 10 cars on the leader lap. Tony Stewart, 10 starts. He's led in 9 of them, led 776, started on the front row 7 times, including today. Is this the day he finally puts the number 1 over there in the win column? Well, we're about to find out.
Try the baby. Body heat activated degree. Your body heat turns it on.
We're back here at the Colorado 200, and the Colorado Buffaloes head coach works in the pits for the second place runner, Buzz Calkins, and that's, of course, Rick Neuheisel. Tell me about sporting news, ranking your Buffaloes #1 going into the 97 season. How about that pressure, Rick?
Nothing like expectations. But what's important now is we're reeling these cars in like largemouth bass. We're going to win this race.
Well, guys, he is a real race fan, and I'll tell you what, he says he wants to keep all the other football coaches on the grandstand side. He says, pit road's my domain.
Well, there's the driver, Buzz Calkins.
Well, Paul, what's interesting is the leader, some of the leaders made major adjustments on that last stop. They're still not happy with chassis, but Calkins did not make any changes.
And the battle for the lead is the yellow Glidden car. That's Tony Stewart. Buzz Calkins in second, right behind him. Here comes Cheever, Gregoire, Hamilton. They're all battling for position, and they're all getting caught up behind Giafone. Cheever darts to the inside of Calkins. Cheever now charging into second place. Gregoire lined up behind Calkins. Calkins blocks him into 3. Well, Hamilton now moving on Gregoire.
Buzz got held up in traffic. He didn't anticipate that very well, and it gave Cheever a big run on him.
It looked for a moment like he had anticipated the start better than Stewart did, but then Calkins got caught up, and right away Cheever attacked.
Well, he anticipated the start real good, but they got down in the middle of 1 and 2, and there was slow traffic, and he just didn't guess right on which way to go.
43 miles to go. Interestingly enough, have we seen an engine go today? No, we haven't.
No, they pretty much licked that problem. You know, it was a learning curve that they got through, and most of them had it figured out by Indianapolis. But this is fun to watch. Now, we got a lot of race cars on this track.
In fact, I was talking with several of the engine guys, and they said, yeah, now if you see an engine go, it's because we're experimenting on how to make it faster.
Well, as soon as they get...
Wow, look at him. The blue car gets alongside of Cheever. Cheever ain't going to let that happen.
No, and you just saw, there's Calkins down the back straightaway, and again, he's fought his way back through some traffic, so I think we're going to see him come back to the front.
And he takes a look. 2nd through 10th are all battling.
Well, there's Gregoire underneath Cheever again. Steffen's a little quicker. He just can't figure out the way to get around, and we're going to have to wait a couple laps to see if he can get this car behind.
Now Calkins closes in. This is a battle for second right here. But right behind it, Kenny Brack, Davey Hamilton, Arie Luyendyk, Sospiri, Groff, and Goodyear. All on the lead lap.
Well, Buzz is caught back up to this traffic to second, third rather quickly, and that's a good sign. But again, you got to be able to negotiate this traffic situation.
Stefan Gregoire, remember that it seems as though his car does not go off as bad as the others. Some of the other guys, after they make pit stops, seem to improve, but then after a long run, the blue car of Gregoire really seems to stay consistent. The crew feels that is going to be their advantage, and they expect if the green stays out, they will go farther to the front.
Davey Hamilton closes on 5th place. Kenny Brack there in the red, black, and white Monsoon car. That's Hamilton right behind him.
Well, we don't see Stewart in this picture, but he's not driving away from these guys. It's 10 or 20 car lengths, but he's not like he's driving away. We got trouble. Luyendyk.
Luyendyk was sitting back there. Oh, and catches that wall head on. Fortunately, he'd scrubbed a lot of speed off. We saw something peeling back from the onboard camera shot, and then suddenly Lyondike in trouble. 7th yellow of the day, with 36 miles to go. Ari took the wheel off. He's okay. I wonder what happened here.
Well, we'll see here in this, hopefully see. Again, he's just driving along. Looks like the back end started to jump out. He got up in the marbles, and then it was gone. But it looked like the back end got out, and then he's in the gray.
IRL safety team is there, ready to work with him, get him out of the car. Obviously okay.
Yeah, I think he's all right. Fortunately, the second hit sometimes is what does the damage, but the first hit was on the right side, second hit was on the left side. Again, driving down into the middle of the corner. He's up a little high, so he tries to catch it. You see him trying to catch it a couple times. You don't usually get away with that, and he did that time.
Yeah, but now he's out of brakes and into the wall. Fortunately, substantially slowed down. The car did its job, protected his feet. And he's still sitting in there.
Yeah, well, it takes him a second or two to gather their thoughts because those impacts aren't fun for these drivers.
So, Stewart led, seems to be moving very well in front of the field, but the battle behind him has remained constant. Watch his hands here.
Well, you can drive. He's got his right hand pretty much on top of the steering wheel. That usually indicates a little bit of an understeer when your hand's that far on top, but he just gets up real high. You can see he's up here pretty high, and then he gets into the loose stuff. Look at him try to, when you take handfuls of steering wheels in an Indy car, that's not a good sign, but he's still taking handfuls, trying to catch up with it, but it's just real hard to catch up on a short track.
Well, he grabbed a lot of wheel. Unfortunately, there's the answer to one of the questions. Can Ari make it 3 in a row? No, he cannot. Though, despite the fact that he was well back in the field, the way 2nd through 10th was running, he was still in the fight.
Well, it won't be a hat trick. You know, you talk about the hat trick. I was going to suggest if he does score in that hat trick, he might want to keep that hat or helmet on while he went into a victory circle.
Well, the leader, Tony Stewart. This could be the day, Jack.
Well, nobody wants to talk about that right now in this pit. Remember when we talked to Tony Stewart before the start of the race? We alluded to the fact that he had his choice of 48 guys. Well, he said, yeah, we've got an all-star crew. Take a look, and we'll be able to tell you who are regular members of his crew. Quite simply, anybody in the white, black, and Menards, and they're Tony Stewart's regular crew members. Anybody with the green tops on their uniforms, they come from Robbie Buell's crew. You look down here, we've got 3 in the white, 3 in the green. We get over here, more guys from Robbie Buell's crew. But here's the thing that I find real interesting. Look who's working the radio with Tony Stewart, trying to root him on to his first victory. His teammate, Robbie Buell. Real quickly, Robbie, what about your condition? Will we see you back soon?
Absolutely. I'm not quite 100% yet, but another 5 days, I'll be ready to be back in Charlotte.
What about the monkey that's been on this back of this team? Do you think maybe they're going to shed it today?
Well, we got to wait for the checkered flag, but I mean, Team Menard, these guys work hard. They work as a group between Tony's car and my car, and they need the reward. They deserve it.
Paul?
All right, so Robbie Buell, we hope to see him back in the car very soon. Will we see Tony Stewart as the winner? Well, 168 laps are complete. When we come back, it'll be a sprint to the green.
Pennzoil. The 1997 Colorado 200 on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Pennzoil, formulated for today's stop-and-go driving. Stop, go, Pennzoil. The owners, managers, and crew who proudly call the McDonald's in your neighborhood My McDonald's. And Goodyear, #1 in tires.
Coming up next, ABC Sports will begin its coverage of the Tour de France with a 1-hour preview special. Coming up next here on ABC Sports. We're ready to go back to green flag racing. Tony Stewart is the leader. 30 miles, 30 laps to go. Eddie Cheever will come to the line in second, followed by Stefan Gregoire, Buzz Calkins, Kenny Breck, Davey Hamilton, Vincenzo Sospiri, and Robbie Groh.
Well, Stewart got a little bit of a jump on him, but so did Davey Hamilton. He made a good move underneath Breck going down into turn 1.
On aboard Kenny Breck now. What hopefully is a sprint to the finish.
Well, here comes Sperry on the inside of Breck. Couldn't quite get that done.
So Sperry tried to work Breck on the backstretch. Back to the front. Stewart. Cheever just under a second back.
Stewart's a little bit quicker when the tires are cool, but as the run goes on, as we get more laps on the tires, it stabilizes, and actually the other guys start to pick up a little bit on Tony.
When you take a look at the lineup on the backstretch or from turn one, that's the way they are. They're all racing together there. The lineup: Stewart, Cheever, Gregoire, Calkins, Hamilton. There they are. 27 miles to go. So Sperry, who was attacking Breck on the last lap, now finds himself trying to defend a little bit from Robbie Groff.
Well, we talked a little bit about Stewart still was making fairly serious chassis adjustments, wing adjustments on that last pit stop, whereas Calkins didn't make anything. But it looks right now like Stewart maybe has got that chassis just a little bit closer for this last run to the finish.
Behind Robbie Groff, Scott Goodyear has not really been able to come forward after running up in second place. The amazing performance in all of this is that blue car. That's Stefan Gregoire. He sets up behind Cheever now.
Well, again, early in these runs, Stefan isn't quite as quick as some of them, but as laps go on, you can see he pulled up right behind Cheever, but it took the air away from him. He lost the air, and he had to get back out of the throttle. And a lot of that's just experience, and when to know when to attack the driver in front of you and when not to. But he's only got 30 more laps to figure this one out.
Battle is now at second place. It's really a three-way fight because Buzz Calkins is moving in there behind Gregoire. Buzz Calkins, the Bradley car. 1.5-second lead with 23 miles to go, Jackaroo.
John Menard, you've been here before. Describe your emotions right now.
Well, there's a little deja vu going on right now, you know, because we've led before at this point in the race and never finished. So I'm just not going to hardly breathe or anything until this race is over. But all the vital signs are good. Tony's running comfortable. We don't have a lot of traffic ahead of us. By all that's right, we should be okay. But, you know, we aren't going to know for a few laps yet.
Paul, it's uncharacteristically quiet and resolute down here at Tony Stewart's pit.
Well, I think the vital signs might be fine, but I bet you the heartbeat's up a little bit.
There's the leader. You look back to second place. There's Cheever. There's Gregoire. Calkins is the red car. Gregoire in the Eskridge Home Builders Special sitting back there.
Oh, we got to spin. Brack's in the wall, turn 3.
Tony Stewart slows it down. Kenny Breck brushes the wall. He was running 6th. Another yellow, 8th of the day.
And he didn't hit it hard. It wiggled a little bit getting in. He got up to the gray, and it was just sort of a right side brush. So the driver should be fine.
It's tough for them to get a long segment going here, though.
Well, it is. I mean, that track, the drivers are all right in the ragged edge. This is hard. What's hard for people to understand. It looks like they're just driving around the racetrack, but you don't realize how close to the what we call the ragged edge, or that fine line between control and non-control these drivers are in every corner.
All right, you just heard Larry Curry on the radio talk to Tony Stewart, tell him the pace car was going to join him on the backstretch. They're using, the IRL has a new command channel. Brian Barnhart, who is directing the race now. They're not using the title Chief Stewart.
10-4.
You heard Larry ask about the balance. Are you happy with the balance? And driver says, yeah, he's okay.
Well, Kenny Breck is out of the car. The onboard camera continued to work all the way through the accident. Here's what happened, Tom.
Well, he's just down the back straightaway here. He turns it down into the corner. Oh, it jumped sideways as soon as he turned it. That thing, he just barely started to squeeze it into the corner, and the back end jumped out.
That's been the cause of every accident we have seen here, or the result of every accident we have seen here throughout the practice and the race. So under yellow, 8th time of the day. Tony Stewart is only 18 miles from victory. We'll be right back.
Every Every 10 seconds or so, a stop sign goes up somewhere in America. And every 30 seconds, a traffic light goes up. It's as hard on your car as it is on you.
Retailer. The Aurora V8, the power behind Indy.
Well, the IRL race here in Colorado, the Colorado 200, is running just a little bit long. And so if you've tuned in for the preview of the Tour de France, it's coming up as soon as this race is over. But if you have just tuned in, we have a great story working here today. Tony Stewart is the leader of the race. He has led all but one of the IRL races. He has never won. He is now just 16 miles from a potential victory. But see all those guys, 10th up to 2nd? They're all right together, and they're all getting ready to dispute Tony Stewart's ability to win his first IRL race. Jan Vigas?
Dr. Jack Miller has just come out of the medical center as Kenny Breck was going in. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little hot seat. About 15 laps before that, the car was really loose coming out of 1 and 2, and we opted to stay out there and try to get in sync with pit stops, so we only had to do one more stop. And unfortunately, that wasn't what put me in the fence. A couple cars got underneath me and out of 4 and took the wind away, and it just pushed right up into the wall. So it's kind of unfortunate, but I'm fine.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Well, we're getting ready to come back to the green flag. A couple of the IRL safety trucks just clearing the accident scene over in turn 4. Well, that wall has been tested again and again and again today, as has the turn 2 wall. You can see it there at the back of the pack.
A lot of action. The walls win every time, Paul. I haven't seen a race car beat that wall yet.
Well, I know the turn 2 wall at Indy certainly beat you, Stephen. No question about that.
More than just turn 2.
Woke you up. The spotters up on top of the scoring tower inside the track, and this is truly a beautiful facility. Only its second event here. 1 lap to go. So it's going to be a 13-mile run to the checkered flag. It should be spectacular, Jack.
Paul, watch this restart. Tony Stewart is very concerned about the way that Eddie Cheever and the First Plus team have been starting these races. So what he said is, hey, I don't like the way he's laying back. All that Larry Curry, the team manager, said is, give us one more of those midget-type restarts. He said, you got it.
Oh, he just kicks the gear. Yeah, gets her down, getting her ready to go.
Well, he's actually been bringing them down pretty slow, but Tony knows how to start races, and there he goes. You can hear the engine come through.
Now, once the pace car crosses the pits, he can go. Stewart goes. Green is out. Here we go.
Davey Hamilton's got a good run at Calkins.
Oh, great run. He gets past Calkins. Drops into 4th place. Calkins tries to come back. Stewart continues to pull away.
Good move by Davey. He gets up restart to Davey.
But let's remember, closing laps of the race at Texas. Stewart was in this position, dominating the run, and suddenly the engine let go.
I think that radio communication we heard between Larry and Stewart on that yellow, saying, "Are you happy with the balance?" And the driver said, "Yes." That's a good sign with 13 laps to go.
Now Greg Waugh starts an attack on Cheever. So Cheever's not battling for the lead. He's trying to hold off second, but Greg Waugh was all over the place.
Well, Stephan he tucks right up on the entry and loses the air on the car, and he has to roll back up and lose it again. But he's able to come right back to Cheever. He's obviously a little quicker right now.
Just 10 miles from victory. Greg Waugh working on Cheever. Again, he's able to get the nose down in, but he isn't able to maintain that. Well, here comes Hamilton. Hamilton coming in to work on Greg Waugh.
Yeah, I think Cheever's holding all of them up here a little bit, so this could get pretty interesting here.
Stewart is clean in the lead, 1.3 out in front. Counting the laps down now.
Greg Waugh got a great run on Cheever there, but Cheever on the high groove. Cheever on the high groove.
Boy, Cheever's able to make that car stick. Now they're going to go side by side into 3.
I like Greg Waugh's chances here.
Yeah, no problem there. So Greg Waugh moves to second. Cheever under attack from Hamilton. Buzz Calkins coming right up behind Hamilton.
You see Eddie take away that low groove and making Davey look at the high side. than Eddie, and the question is, can he hold any line?
You can hear on the two-way radio the countdown, 7 to go. There is Stewart as he comes off of 2. Then the blue car, second place, Greg Waugh. And then that three-way battle.
Oh, we got trouble.
We got a car in trouble. Yellow flag comes out with just 7 miles to go.
Oh, and it's Robbie Groff. Done a great job all day. Has the trouble way late in the race.
But again, that one was a little different. Seemed to lose it just he kept it off the wall. Had the same kind of thing happen, but he was able to keep it off the wall and got it down on the inside.
Well, and a lot of that's because of where it happened. He didn't get up too high until he got to the exit of the corner. The other guy's been having trouble on the entry, but he got up just a little bit high on the exit.
Not much damage on the car. Here is a look from turn 3, Tom.
Well, that's the white car up high. You can see him. He might have gotten in trouble. He was tight with the car in front of him, and he might have lost some of the air. But the back end jumped out.
Well, he scared a couple people there, too. Marco Greco, I think, was one of them.
There it is, the white car, second that picture. He just gets up a little bit high, and the back end jumps out. A lot of traffic underneath there.
Yeah, look at him pass between Giafone and who's this? This is 70 car. Greco hides in the smoke. Well, so we're yellow again. They will get this car back, I'm sure, off the track, and we'll be back to racing very quickly here.
Can't believe that worked.
Who was that guy?
We're back at the Colorado 200 with just 3 miles to go as they come to the line. Tony Stewart is the leader. The pace car has already begun accelerating on the backstretch. Right behind Stewart is Greg Waugh, then Cheever, then Hamilton, then Calkins and Sospiri. They're all lined up together. They all know they have a shot at grabbing the race away from Tony Stewart. Can he make it to the checkered flag and score his first victory?
Well, the chief mechanic says one more midget restart, and here he goes. Tony got a little bit of jump on Greg Waugh, a half a car length. We got green. Oh, Davey Hamilton.
Cheever comes down inside Greg Waugh, and Hamilton inside Cheever. Hamilton comes into third. Greg Waugh holds on to second.
Another great restart by Davey Hamilton. Another position. It's really hard to get positions on these miles, and he's done it twice in 2 restarts.
All that modified racing paint off for Davey Hamilton. Greg Waugh holds on to second behind Stewart. White flag, 1 to go. Now, since we're running over, the chances of talking to Stewart are very, very slim, assuming he takes the win here. Assuming anybody takes the win here, I don't think we're going to be able to talk with him. Greg Waugh closer. One final turn to go. The jinx may be off of Stewart's shoulder. And Tony Stewart finally gets it done. The 8th different winner in 10 IRL events. Tony Stewart has moved up to within 5 points of Davey Hamilton for the lead in the IRL points.
Running overtime, we want to say congratulations to you. What a great run. What about the bookie on your back? It's gone. How good was this race car all day, Tony? I tell you what, the first run, it wasn't the best, but throughout the rest of the race.
Tony Stewart being interviewed by Jack Arute as he waves at the and comes around acknowledging the checkered flag. So Tony Stewart, but the bunkie, as he said, is in the zoo. Coming up next, the Tour de France. Great run here for Tony Stewart. He finally gets it done. We say so long from Colorado.
Monday, what has existed for millions of years, defies gravity and physics, and has the loudest voice on Earth. The Blue Whale. Join ABC for this amazing special.